Hallo John en baie welkom op Nuuspod, ons Afrikaanse nuuskanaal. We're going to do the interview in English, just for the English listeners, but I know your Afrikaans is really good, so yeah, welcome here.
Dankie Teresa, Afrikaans is okay, maar lekker om met jou Engels te praat soos op die fiets.
Yeah. Well, recently we had deep conversations on the bike. So.
Dark.
Deep dark. Yeah. Like we said, this relationship is starting to turn a bit toxic. Listen, John, but please tell our viewers, what happened at Epic? Tell us about Epic 2022.
Yo, Teresa, I think it'll haunt quite a few people for quite some time. This was my number 6, my 6th Epic. I was fortunate enough to finish the first 5. This is the first one that I didn't finish, and I must say it's quite some time to recover emotionally. It's quite a big hole because it's a big sacrifice, a lot of time. It's a lot of hours in the dark and away from the family, and puts pressure on everything. And so everyone around you knows that you're doing Epic. So when you fail magnificently. But that day one was something I've never experienced before. I suppose I'm not designed for mountain biking. I'm a big unit. So climbing is always the issue. So I've got lekker bike, I've got lekker gears, and I can sort of go up and slow, and I can sort of stay on the bike. But as soon as I jump off the bike and I start going slowly, there's a couple of things that happen. My heart goes up. I go slower, so I don't get any wind to cool me down. So I cook. My ginger freckles start to cook a little bit more. And that climb up that wall on that Monday, and because you did it, but that was an hour and 45 of being in the oven at 250 degrees. Survived it. Got sick at water point 2. Felt a bit better once I gotten everything out, but then you're on the back foot. You're behind the 8 ball, and in an 8-day stage like that, you can't really fix dehydration, that kind of thing. So started slow. Day 2, hiked up the Oxwagon Trail again. Wanted to bail at water point 1. Stuck around, had some Enos. Had lots of deep conversations with myself, and then left there about 25 minutes later, and actually got better during the day and started to turn the corner, and then I just ran out of time. That southeasterly just blew too hard, and I couldn't go fast enough. So I got to 103, did the maths, and realized I was going to be probably 15 to 20 minutes short of the 123 cutoff time. So it was hard. I always tell my kids, you can't always win everything. You gotta take your losses and be humble. And that was my turn to be humble. I got a smack. It's a tough race. You've done it. So if you get something wrong, it's difficult to recover on a race that tough.
Yeah, and I see news articles where they actually say almost a third of the field didn't finish. It's that tells you that, okay, well, something was going on there. And also, John, I saw you at Route 66, and I saw you going, and you were actually fast and fit. You lost a lot of weight at that point. So yeah, you're right, Teresa. When I heard that the third drop off, which is the biggest ever in an Epic, I was like, yeah, we were in the wrong third. You got to make a plan to be in the right 2/3 of the field. But yeah, obviously I had a lot of demons that night on Tuesday night, and look back at my log. I'd done the hours, I'd lost the weight, but that's the beauty of this race. I mean, the guy who started the Epic, Kevin Vermark, he came to me sort of, worried that I'd be upset. And I was upset, but not at the race. I mean, we do this race because it tests us at every level. So it's tough. And if you get something wrong, I mean, we went there with Barney's Army, our foundation, and we had 12 riders. Only 7 ended up finishing. And let me tell you, it was 12 good riders, and I was behind a guy who's really good technically. And he was on the single track on the Monday, and he got a jump wrong, and he must have fallen going 50 k's an hour, and he was out.
and it's all that money, all that time, and he's one mistake and you're gone. And that's the beauty and the torture of a race like this. So it must always be tough, and we must always make sure we're in the top half and the top 2/3.
So the big question, will you go back, or is it too soon to ask?
I do think that that Monday, Tuesday, that back-to-back, there are a few things there that I think cured me. That the amount of hiking in those first 2 days, I know sometimes you got to hike, but that was it's not lekker for me.
Yeah, and wasn't fun.
And the other thing was I got it wrong, and my partner BJ Butta, who got his medal thankfully, and he was a machine. You know, when I caught him on the Tuesday, on that long day, the 123 day, you know, I was actually feeling strong, and I was waiting at the top, and my Garmin read 2199 meters climbed, and it was a 2250 day. And I waited for them. They came up. I gave him and another one of our guys goos and all sorts of things to get them back going. And I said, guys, we pretty much, the work's done. We've done 2 climbing. There's a 50 to 100 meters of climbing left. We've got 30 Ks of district roads into the glorious finish line. And I was wrong by 550 meters. I mean, it was a half a kilometer insane. Left of climbing. And that messed with my head. And it's the first time that you always expect curveballs at Epic, but you're half a K of climbing. And I mean, I watch the climbing like a hawk. I don't care about the kilos. I always watch the climbing because I split the climbing up. If it's 2,000 meters, I knock off 500 at a time, and I try and stay off my watch so I can ride and enjoy what we do. But the climbing is really what counts for the big guys. So that messed with my head.
It was exactly the same for me. Exactly the same. So I know what you're talking about.
So will I do it again? I think I'm cured for now.
For now.
Yeah, you know why? It's because it's the first time I've tasted failure, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's a big effort. And then when you realize how empty the feeling is of not finishing, you think to yourself, yo, it's a big call to go and repeat that, you know. Whereas I've had a fairy tale start. I've had 5 out of 5, and now I'm on the other side.
Yeah, but you know what, if it's not reassurance, but there's a lot of people who didn't finish who would say, yeah, but John Smit also didn't finish. And then they immediately feel better. So
their yardstick should not be 120 kilogram front row, to be fair.
But John, you just said you were doing it for your foundation. So please tell us about the foundation. What's that all about?
We started Barney's Army, I think, in 2012. It was a game against the Sharks, and I chose a group of guys from around the world, and we had this game, and we raised an incredible amount of money through the game. And it was hosted by the Sharks, and then a gala event in Joburg. And we did some amazing things. We built a rugby field at the Live Village in KZN. We helped the Chris Burger Petra Jackson Fund. We helped Bobby Bear. These are the 3 charities that have really been the main focus of the foundation, and they're all sort of surrounded around kids and the game of rugby. Chris Burger, obviously, the Chris Burger Petra Jackson Fund looks after people who've had spinal injuries from rugby, and Bobby Bear looks after sexually abused kids underage, and obviously the Live Village brings homeless kids into a home and off the streets and gives them a mom and a purpose and a school. And so it's been super low key. I've done a little bit here and there, and I've tried to raise money through the odd golf day and through bringing guys together. Like we had 12 riders, and we had part of 2 of our guys were from a company called GRC here in Centurion, and they made a big donation. And so everything that we're raising this year, and from Epic and a couple of golf days, is going to a rural school here called Maribatle. And Maribatle struggles with running water and electricity, I guess, like the rest of the country. but it struggles massively. And when they lose water or electricity, they can't accept the kids at school, and they've got 1,500 kids that go there every day. So we're putting in a big focus to rebuild the kitchen, give them some solar powered geysers and running water, and rebuild the field. But all of this takes money, so we're trying to accumulate a big enough pot in 2022 to make a big difference in the school. So it's not a massive foundation. Obviously, I don't throw it around, and but I use it pretty much in my own little circle. We've got our own website. You can check us out and what we've done, barneysarmy.co.za. And it's lekker to be able to help and use the profile that rugby gave me to some benefit.
Are you still very much involved in rugby, South African rugby?
I was certainly. I mean, my first real job was with the Sharks from 2014 to 2016, I think it was, for 3 years. And then when I resigned from that job, I got asked to represent the players on the SA Rugby Council, which I guess is like a board. That was for 4 years. My 4 years actually came up in February this year, so I'm no longer on the SA Rugby Council. I am acting CEO for a non-profit organization called SA Rugby Legends, which is the ex-players organization, and also the organization that does all rugby development in the country on behalf of SA Rugby. That's been tough. Obviously, there's been no money for development and for much during COVID. So it's been a struggle to try and keep the sort of development program going. Rugby wise, our company SSG, we sponsor the Bulls and the Sharks. So I guess I'll always have some part in rugby, whether it's giving back or supporting or sponsoring or developing. So yeah, it's part of my lifeblood. You know, my son started at Boys High this year, and he's a hockey player, not a rugby player. And and I said to him, it's which I'm very happy with. I think he's probably too smart to play rugby, my son. and I just said to him, it's magical that you playing hockey. I said, but you must understand, rugby has given me almost everything that I have. So it's something that we must always respect and hold dear. And I think he gets that.
Yeah, it's funny enough, my next question was about your kids, your wife Roxy, and your kids. I remember our first interview ever was in Pretoria about leadership. You were doing a talk about leadership, and we spoke that day about your kids and your family. And it was actually because of them that you left your previous job in rugby in KZN. So, yeah, tell us a bit more about family life and fatherhood.
Yeah, that's the toughest job in the world, but also the most rewarding. I mean, I think you only truly understand stress. I mean, you think stress is playing the All Blacks or getting prepared for a World Cup final, but until you have had a kid, you don't realize just how much the human mind can actually worry about something. I'm fortunate, Teresa. I met Roxy when we were 11 years old. We first girl I ever kissed. She went to Potch Girls. I went to Pretoria Boys. We sort of saw each other in passing, throughout high school. But we actually started dating during matric finals, and I've been with her ever since. So I met a great woman at a young age, and she was a massive true north for me through everything from rugby to business to all sorts of things. So it's I guess one of those fortunate things. And we had our kids, I guess for South Africans, we had our kids quite late. We were 27, we're the same age when we had our first kid, Emma. And I was sort of in the prime of my career, and it was only 7 or 8 years later that I retired. And I actually retired having had our third kid, Taylor. Tyron was born the night before our Currie Cup, my only Currie Cup win in 2008 against the Bulls. And he, when I finished at Saracens, Taylor was 9 days old. We got on a plane back to South Africa to start our new job with the Sharks with a 9-day-old baby. So we're a big crew, 3 kids, girl, boy, girl. And I've got my eldest is 2.5 years away from finishing high school,
John.
which makes me sound and feel very old. My son's just started high school, and then I've got a Lat Lamaki that's grade 3, and I think she'll keep us young forever, to be fair. So Roxy's also gotten back to the sort of corporate world. She's working for a company as a CFO for Richmark Holdings, and loving being back in work. She sacrificed a huge amount when I was playing rugby. She was a career woman, a CA, and she gave that up to be a mom and allow me to do my thing and give our kids as much time as possible with a dad that traveled a lot. So for her to be back at it and thriving in the business world is also lekker to see. And we're blessed. Our kids are at good schools and are doing well. And so yeah, that is honestly the most rewarding part about when you finish rugby. You've got many things that help you transition out of the fairy tale world of sport into the real world, and a strong family unit is the best tool.
John, and if there's one important lesson in life that you would like your kids to learn from you, what would that be? What if you can?
I'd love them to say that they learned it from me, but I'm not sure it's always the case. This week, definitely, but it'll be humility. And people always misunderstand humility for being timid. I'd like my kids to be confident within themselves and their identity, and humble enough to be able to listen more than they speak. My gran gave me wise words just before her deathbed. She said, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we must use them accordingly. And I mean, I think, especially men, but if we could all probably listen twice as much as we spoke, I think we'd be better off on so many spheres. So I'd love my kids to be quietly confident leaders of community that are humble and are able to listen to all walks of life. For me, I always measure, people often introduce people as how wealthy they are, and it's got very little relevance to me. I always want to know whether they're lekker or not. And you can tell that by whether or not they greet the guard at the gate, or whether they only greet the CEO when they walk into the office. And that's how you sort of measure a person is not by the size of their bank account, but how much respect they've got for everyone from all spheres of life.
Yeah. I remember that day at the leadership conference, you spoke about leadership, and afterwards the interview was about leadership. And you said amazing stuff. I can remember word for word what you actually said. But let's talk about leadership. And according to you, what makes a good leader?
Look, I think leadership is many different things to many different people, and I think you get different types of leaders. You get the bossy leaders that lead from the front and tell everyone exactly what to do, and a lot of the time they get success initially early on. The sustainability thereof sometimes is not always the case, but for me, I think leadership is the ability to listen to the group, to understand the diverse sector of your group or your clients or your team or your staff, and to be able to push the right buttons for the different people, because one button doesn't work for every single person. We've all got different likes, fears, hopes, dreams, and we all respond differently under pressure. We all respond differently with joy. And so leadership is around having the understanding of listening and knowing your people before you make a calculated decision for the majority of the group. And sometimes it's difficult because that decision won't always suit the entire group, but you've got to have been able to have assessed the characters and the people and what makes them tick, to be able to make a decision that suits the group and where the group's going, or the team, or the family unit. So for me, it's really a good leader is a good listener. And you can't be a good leader without listening, because if you're not listening, you actually don't know who you're in charge of.
Yeah, that's very true. I remember that day you said that know the people that you work with, for example, know their background, know what, or try and find out what's going on in their lives. And that's really important. And it was good advice, I must say. Listen, so the one question, are you more of a cyclist these days than a rugby player?
Well, I can tell you, I'm definitely not a rugby player anymore. I went to a camp out with my son at the school, and I sort of, all the fathers and sons were missing, and my son and I were walking around, and we asked where everyone was, and they were playing touch at Brooksfield.
Yeah.
So we wandered down there, and it definitely wasn't touch. It was like full-on contact. And I actually got anxiety watching these old men play against these young boys, blood coming out of one dad's. I was like, I have zero desire to be on that field or play rugby ever again. I love watching it. My small role with Supersport is very cool. I get to do the odd game and keep abreast of this new generation and this wonderful world champion team that we've got. But to play, zero. So the short answer to your question is, without a doubt, 100% cyclist, 0% rugby player.
Don, I see on your email address and your WhatsApp profile picture, it says SSG. So what is that all about? I know it's your business and you're the founder and CEO, but just tell people what does that entail?
I'm certainly not the founder. The founder was a chap called George Ferreira. Actually, he was our previous CEO and the chap that built this business from scratch. And I was involved with Richmark Holdings, which is the major shareholder, and sadly George fell ill about 3 years ago and passed from cancer. I was asked to oversee a DD and from a sale of the company point of view, and we got messed around by a buyer who made a silly offer, and I'd promoted this company and gotten to know the people and realized that there was such a cool culture here. I'd sort of sold it quite heavily to the shareholders that they shouldn't really budge on price, and through all of that, I was then thrown the mandate of taking over, and I've been here for 3 years. It's been phenomenal. So it's called SSG, Special Services Group. We have a facilities company, a security company, and a cleaning company. So sort of a turnkey solution to all three of those. So for corporate parks, for estates, for the mining sector is a big sector of ours. Pretty much anything that incorporates security, cleaning, facilities is our game. So it's certainly not something that I ever expected to be in terms of a sector, but every single day is different. It's exciting. We've got an amazing team, and we've been growing massively. So it's been a great 3 years in a time where a lot of people have struggled with COVID, and we've been able to continue.
Yeah, well done. So last question, when do I see you again, and where, at what race?
Teresa, I've got the next one is Sani Adventure.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the SA Rugby Legends. So Celsi Legends always take a team with clients, and DSV host us. So we ride with DSV and their clients, and it's a really cool 3 days. But Sani is just a celebration of mountain biking.
Who's the legends who's riding with you?
This year, I'm riding with Butchie. Joel's there. Warren Brosnahan, Trevor Halstead, Jamie Thompson was going to be there, but he's just pulled out. And who else? I think that's it. So Sani, then it's non-stop Sani a month later.
And then it's,
very much doubting. There's non-stop Sani, which I've entered, which I'm starting to regret after my epic experience. Non-stop is all 3 days in 24 hours.
Oh my goodness. Listen, you'll be just fine. And before you know, you'll be over the epic ordeal.
I've been searching through the e-bike section, Teresa.
Oh, come on, John. Nonsense. I know that. But listen, thank you so much. It's always great to chat to you, and you're really such a pleasure. So,
now that it's not on a bicycle and we're not both suffering trying to make cutoff, it's much easier.
Yeah, please. It is much easier. I must say, I also prefer that. So thanks a lot, and thanks for your time.
Nice chatting.
Hope to see you soon.
Nuuspod. Onbevange, onbegrens, onbevooroordeeld.